This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Continuing our conversations this morning, we turn to Borno State, where the Borno State government has announced that it will be closing Manu, Internally Displaced Persons Camp, one of the oldest facilities in the state. This announcement concerning the closure of Manu Camp, which is located in Maiduguri, follows the closure of similar facilities across the state, with Governor Babagana Zulum announcing plans to resettle members of the camp in their ancestral homes over the course of the next 2 weeks. Joining the conversation this morning is Usman, a journalist in Borno. Good morning, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you very much for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning, Mr. Steven, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Right. Can you speak to us about the closure of the latest camp in Borno? How did that play out?
Okay, thank you very much, Steven. I think right from the day His Excellency Governor Babagana Zulum, it has generated a lot of reactions from what people that are praising it and as well as people that are opposing it. As well from the IDPs themselves, because, some of them have been eager to leave the camp, especially looking at the time they spend there, which is somehow restricted because they don't have their complete freedom as citizens of this country, looking at the kind of the life they are doing. But also to some of the people who are complaining that this camp is causing a lot of issues, as mentioned by the governor, especially in terms of prostitution, as well as gangsterism and other menaces have been praising this solution. But the actual concern now is how this government is going to actually reintegrate these people back to their community, looking at some of these communities are not safe, especially there hasn't been a technical survey to identify all these inexplosive ordinances that probably may also cause some potential damage to those people. So, and in fact, the reconstruction itself, thinking of taking people back to the community, you also need to build their houses, build their school healthcare facilities, and other infrastructure. All these are not adequately in place. So this is another dimension that people are also looking at it. Yeah.
So, Mr. Mohammed, in light of the things you've said that have not been looked at, has the state government come out to detail the process with which they will undertake this closure? We understand they've said that they will be closing it down within the next 2 weeks or so. What are the steps? What are the measures?
Yeah, closing the camp instantly may not going to be actually better for the government as well as for the IDPs. And that is why, even if you look at it as of now, the camp has been gradually, people have been, the IDPs have been taking place because as it is now, it's about 70% of the people in the camp. About 25% have already vacated the camp, and that is the measures the government is taking. It is taking it gradually, and that is, I think, is connected to the fact that the preparations to take them back to the community have not been adequately completed, and that is why the government are doing it gradually, taking some of the numbers to see that they have not caused another issue. But of course, as I told you, there hasn't been adequate preparations, especially some of the local government that these people will be taking, because these people are mostly from the Mapa community and the local government, those that are in the camp. So I think the government needs to do more, especially in terms of providing some livelihoods to these people, so that because that amount of money the governor made mention, I think it's about 150,000 to the husband and wife. That's 100,000 for the husband and 50,000 for the wife. I don't think it's adequately enough. Looking at the economic reality we are facing in this country, and for the people who doesn't have anything apart from receiving donor intervention from these NGOs and other development partners, as well as the government. So I think government needs to do more and to also come up with a actually comprehensive package that can take all their needs and foster their continuous survival.
So we understand that up to 75% of the people in this camp have already been resettled. So at the height of the camp, there were an estimated 50,000 plus people who were living there. Right now, the numbers we're hearing, about 10,000 people are left in the camps. So I'm wondering what sort of lessons were learnt from the 40,000 plus that have already been resettled, and whether what their own experience is like can give us a sort of picture into what these next 10,000 would be facing when they are returned home.
Yeah, as mentioned, truly the government has made tremendous effort in collaboration with a lot of NGOs and other federal government agencies to see that a lot of people from that camp have already moved to other places. Some have not moved actually to their original places of origin. Some have just lived there to go and meet with their families and maybe host communities to continue living together with them. And some have, through the what we call survival of the fittest, they have find some of the jobs and are now integrated themselves back to the community. But I think the lesson that the government needs to actually understand that is that this thing should not be politicized actually. We should have to look at it critically. We should have to do this thing holistically to ensure that these people are not just because, we are also looking at it from the dimension of the Borno state government has had its model, which is called Borno model of reintegration, which also has to do with the reintegrating Boko Haram community as well as the IDP back to their society. So, but in view of that, the government is making a lot of efforts, especially in terms of developmental intervention, to see that it has dismantled all this camp. But sincerely speaking, there are a lot of things that need to be considered, especially in terms of these people's needs, because it's one thing to take people back to their communities, another thing to provide them with adequate things that are needed to continue their life, especially in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, in terms of other basic and critical amenities that they need for their survival.
Right.
So I think it's very important for the government to look at it.
So, Mr. Mohammed, let's come back to security conversations. How has security in the state improved? And I ask this because in the past, we have seen reports of Boko Haram attacking communities where former IDPs had been resettled. Has there been an improvement? What's the state of security as these camps are being emptied?
Let me give you this based on even the Northeast perspective, not just about Borno, especially in Yobe, Borno, and Adamawa, in particular Yobe and Borno. This security situation, not just about the IDPs, but also to the general security of the region. There are a lot of resurgence of these Boko Haram insurgents attacking villages, doing a lot of things that are not even being reported to the media. And this is because the government don't want people to understand what is happening. So that I don't know whether that one is good, but I think for me it's important to tell the world what is truly happening in some of these communities. There are a lot of attacks. In fact, in one local government in Yobe State last week, there is one of let me say a terrible attack in one village called Gweneri, which has cost a lot of life of our citizens. So I think the government needs to focus not only on IDPs that these most vulnerable people are living, but also in diverse communities. Because this thing, in fact, if I can give you the figures of the recent loss of life in these two states, especially Borno and Yobe, you can be surprised, because especially in some of the known or hard to reach areas where we may not even have the net of even communicating with the people, things are happening badly, and government don't want to come out. If you could remember recently, the governor of Borno has even come out clearly to tell the world that federal government should also look at these things, because there are a lot of things that are happening that people don't even know in the world. So I think there is need, especially for the federal government, to tackle its best to address, because what we are thinking, it has just been just a remnant. It is now coming to become another issue of serious concern. So there is actually a need for security to improve, especially in some of the hard-to-reach areas, in some of the villages. But for the metropolitan, the biggest cities, there is minimal threat in this respect. But I think for some of the village, especially some of the communities at the hard-to-reach areas, especially like Bujiba, Fulani, and Goneri in Yobe State, are also some of the places that have these issues.
Mr. Mohammed, thank you very much for your time on this conversation. Usman Mohammed is a journalist in Borno State who joined us this morning to speak on the state government closing another camp that was housing internally displaced persons. The Borno State government has been closing camps across the state as they seek to resettle members who were previously displaced by insecurity to their ancestral communities.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.